The nuclear disaster in Japan have intensified this morning after a third explosion at the Fukushima power plant north of Tokyo. There's also been a fire in another of the reactors. The Japanese Prime Minister says radioactive levels around the plant are high, and another official has said they're not levels that can damage human health. The power plant was damaged after Friday's earthquake and tsunami. There have already been 2 explosions. Now people living within a 6-mile radius of the exclusion zone have also been told to stay indoors. Our correspondent Holly Williams joins us now on the line. Holly, what more can you tell us?
Well, Eamon, the government here is still urging people not to panic. We heard from the Prime Minister, Naoto Kan, earlier today, and he said, I know that people are worried, but I'm asking you to act calmly. That's pretty much what he's been saying all along, but balancing that is that the government now admits also that radiation leakage is at levels that can, quote, damage human health. And of course, that's following these 4 separate explosions and now 1 fire in a nuclear reactor. And the experts that I've spoken to have all said that fire is what everyone needs to be worried about because it can spread any radiation leakage over a much wider area. At the moment, we're not exactly sure how much radiation we're talking about. The plant operator says that in the immediate vicinity of the plant, we're talking about radiation at 4 times normal levels. However, we're hearing another report of radiation at 40 times normal levels in Saitama, which is quite close to Tokyo, which of course is home to an enormous population. On top of that, we have countries around Japan that are clearly worried. Air China, right next door to Japan, has stopped all flights between Beijing and Tokyo. And now South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore and the Philippines say they'll all be testing food from Japan for any kind of radioactive contamination.
Holly, thanks for the update. Thank you very much indeed. Want now to go to Tom Parmenter, who has more detail on exactly what has been happening. Tom.
Yes, Japan has been focused on its nuclear reactors since the quake struck on Friday. The worst hit has been the Fukushima 1 plant, about 150 miles north of the main capital city, Tokyo. That's where the risk of radiation leak has come from following a series of explosions. The Prime Minister in Japan says reducing the threat is an ongoing operation.
Radiation has spread from these reactors, and the reading of the level seems very high. And there is still a very high risk of further radioactive material from coming out.
The first concerns were about Reactor 1, which exploded on Saturday on the far end here, and then Reactor 3, which blew yesterday. But now the worry is about Reactor 2, the one in the centre here. This is where it's a chance of overheating, and there was a partial explosion that took place this morning. The other blasts didn't damage the wall around the reactor's core, the really important bit in the middle, if you like, but it's feared that the Unit 2 explosion, the one here in the middle, may have broken the containment vessel, which could then allow nuclear material to leak out. This morning, there's also been concern about another reactor, Reactor 4. A fire there has since been extinguished, but there's a chance that this one, number 4, may have released radiation. So a concerning picture, but altogether 4 out of the 6 reactors at Fukushima 1 are now in trouble. The risk of radiation exposure means that people within a 20-kilometre radius have been evacuated. And all those a further 10 kilometres away, so up to 30 kilometres, those people have been told to stay indoors. Japan's chief cabinet secretary says the effects are out of their hands.
Eventualities will, of course, be affected by the weather, but people within the area should not have contact with the air as much as possible, and I would like to ask people to stay indoors. There is no mistake that this is a level that can have an effect on humans.
That's the detail of what's happening at the plant. Our correspondent Holly Williams. How have you been affected by any exclusion zone, Holly?
Well, Eamon, I'm still quite a distance from that exclusion zone. I'm in the city of Sendai, so I'm about 100 miles or so north of that nuclear plant. Nevertheless, our experts are telling us that we should really leave this area, not because we're in any immediate danger, but because they're worried that if the wind changes direction and starts blowing north, we could be in some danger. They've advised us to get on the road and to head out of town. And it seems that some other people in this area are thinking the same thing. We've just been down to the local bus station in Sendai, and there are long queues of people there who are also clearly seeking to leave this area and head elsewhere.
Well, goodness me, after all these people have been through now this, no immediate danger, you say, but it is an invisible danger. Does that make it less threatening to people, or is there a sense of panic with this nuclear warning?
I think that Japanese people tend to be very stoical, but we've also been interviewing people who are queuing not for the bus station but for food and fuel. And people are facing terrible shortages here. They don't have any cooking fuel at home. They don't have any food. Many of them are doing without electricity and water. We've been talking to people in those queues, one of which stretches for 5 long city blocks. I'd say it's about 1 kilometre long. Talking to them, talking about what they're already doing without. And on top of that now, they're worried about this possibility of radiation reaching here from that nuclear plant that's just a little way to the south of the city of Sendai.
Holly, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We're now going to talk to... we're not going to talk to anybody. We've got a nuclear expert on the phone now.